Welcome back to Scored. All right, guys, the ice has broken and the closets are wide open. We're taking a peek at what lies beneath the surface in the world of hockey. Whether the sticks are up or down, the pressure is being applied. We're not pucking around as we shatter the ice in this episode. The games we play on the ice are nothing compared to the walls we build up around ourselves. Today, we're diving into episode 5 of Heated Rivalry. I'll believe in anything. This is our hour where the armor completely shatters. From Shane finally speaking his truth out loud, to Ilya's heartbreaking vulnerability, to a public statement that changed everything. The stakes just shifted from winning a game to surviving each other. Lock in because we're breaking down this episode that changed the entire series. All right, here we are. And here we are. Talk about resilience and icebergs and everything else. All right.
Yeah, we were having some technical difficulties.
Oh my goodness. All right. So we're gonna dive right into this breaking up with the beard, so to speak. Kind of right out at the beginning of the episode with Rose. Um, so the first question I have for episode 5 is how did you react to Shane's jaw-dropping, iconic line to Rose during their breakup dinner? And that line is after he comes out to Rose, he says, "The thing is, I see if we were doing trivia, you would already have it. The thing is, I kind of prefer being the hole to the pig." How did you feel about that line?
Well, honestly, I laughed. I laughed. I mean, he was being honest. He was being extremely honest. It was not something that most people expect. I mean, just to say that you're gay, that's one thing, but to say that you prefer bottoming, that's not what anyone would expect. But I mean, he did. Especially after the way in which he revealed himself, it was like a lot of shaking and all of that. Like I didn't expect him to go that far in, but he went there, and he's proud of it.
I did the same. I laughed. But then I thought, okay, I normally side with Ilya, like, hallelujah, bore me, at first. And so to see some of his personality, him get comfortable with actually saying something sexual out loud to someone, I was very proud of him in that moment, if I'm being honest. One, you made me giggle, and two, okay, you're not a complete snooze fest and not completely boring, and you have a sense of humor. And so I love that he felt comfortable enough with her to make a state. I can't even say a sexual innuendo because it was all out there completely. So I love that. Um, so we know that the title of this episode, we kind of skipped past it. I'll believe in anything. I didn't mention the fact that it was a song reference. I didn't know that until a little bit later and a little bit of digging that this was a reference to a song, and I was like, okay. And so I went and, of course, I liked the song when I first saw the episode the first 2 times. But this time I actually went and looked at some of the lyrics. I was like, okay, all right.
What are the lyrics?
So, have to Google the lyrics. Like basically, I'll be your sunshine. If I can go hide and away with you, those types of metaphors and similes all throughout the song. And so it was really, really sweet. I'm like, okay, very, very, very intentional pick for this movie, especially for that particular scene.
Okay.
Sorry, I just wanted to take a detour there really quickly. So next question. How did it feel to see Rose boldly ask Shane if there were any gay players in the league? Um, acting as a catalyst for him finally stepping out of his shell. So, how did that make you feel just hearing her just boldly ask him, like, hey, are there any gay players in the league?
Well, first, I didn't. I would not have assumed that she would have jumped from bad sex to you're gay. Like that's a huge jump. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, I mean, there's no artful way to bring up that particular subject. So the way in which she did it, she kind of handled it okay. I actually don't have anything negative to say about how she handled that particular situation. She was trying to be gentle without just throwing it out there, and so I appreciated her tact, if you will.
I think they had gotten so comfortable with each other. I'm glad that they didn't write her in as like a vindictive or hateful person, that she was just genuinely a friend. So I appreciated that for Hollander, because I would say that he got comfortable with her instantly, but they had already had this build up, with dating, so to speak, not realizing ultimately it was really just a friendship to where y'all were kind of experimenting with each other. And so, I
Okay.
was I was happy about that. Um, so I know this is like really childish, but for me, when Shane, his little walls have been broken down and his barriers, all of this after the breakup with his girlfriend, he goes to Ilya and basically comes out to Ilya, and so when he formally tells Ilya that he's gay, and Ilya chuckles, because it's basically obvious. Did that moment feel kind of hot because of the relaxed, unfiltered comfort they share now together, or was it just kind of silly?
Neither. And I'll tell you why. It's because in a lot of ways, Ilya is the one person that Shane feels knows him, or at least knows that side of him best or better than anyone else, and he's attempting to be vulnerable in a highly significant way, and he is hoping for Ilya to be kind and gentle in that particular moment. But Ilya gives him something completely different. But at the same time, it kind of sticks with um, who and what Ilya is, and so it was okay. It wasn't the best scene, I would say, but Shane was really trying. He was trying to go there, and in his own way, he was trying to be tactful. He was trying to say, "I love you, and I know you love me too." That was his way of doing it. But Ilya like kind of laughed it off, and I think that kind of put half of a wall back up on Shane, so that he had to like kind of regroup so that he could go on the attack again.
Ilya does that a lot, but he's probably one of the most emotional people in the show. 100%. Um, so sources say the episode 5 has been called the masterclass in intimacy. Despite the lack of literal sex scenes in episode 5. So do you think the long distance FaceTime interactions um made the dynamic, more steamy, because of all the buildup as opposed to the physical hooking up?
Well, in this particular episode, what we see is we see a lot of them getting actually to know each other. And by getting to know each other, I'm really talking about Shane getting to know Ilya, because all before Ilya was not willing to share too much of himself to Shane. But in this episode, we learn a lot about Ilya, and definitely Shane does. And so in learning all that he learns about Ilya, he now understands a whole lot about Ilya. He's learning what Ilya is facing, not just back home, but with his family. Feeling like he's the black sheep, but he's the one that's making all the money. He's the breadwinner. Um, And so like that's weird. That's a weird situation to be in. And then, the fact that Ilya wants to go home because that's his family, but he hates it. He absolutely hates it. Um and then, and Ilya being forced to think about that, that really makes him say, well, if I hate it so much, I wonder if Shane could then be my home. And that's
You
what's so
said you
beautiful about it.
segued right into to the next talking point with Ilya, and this. I hate home, but I want Shane to be my home and everything. But as this relationship developed, of course, over the course of time, not just being physically present with each other all the time. So, of course, Shane comes out formally. We've made it to that point. So Ilya reveals to Shane, and I quote, "I wouldn't be able to go home again," or whatever. And he's like, "Do you get that? How does this immense, dangerous stakes of the forbidden change the heat and desperation of their dynamic with all that raw emotion? Like, okay, I get it. Like where you're from, but where I'm from, I could never do that. I would never be allowed to go home again."
It heightens it. It definitely heightens it because you're not just hiding from the American, the Canadian public, you're hiding from the Russian public. Vis-a-vis, you're hiding from the entire world, because the minute this gets out anywhere, people in Russia are going to find out. So this is a big cocoon, and it's almost I wanted to use the word fortuitous, but in this moment I can't remember what fortuitous means. My brain said fortuitous, but I don't know what fortuitous means. But anyway, but anyway, um, I forgot what I was thinking.
Welcome to my. But I agree. Putting it out in front of the whole world, there will be no hiding from Russia, and you are both um, in the professional hockey league. Hey, monkey business here, always monkey business. Good fun.
He says Russia rules. Okay, all right.
The Russians are not having it, so don't even try it. We're coming around here with that. So essentially, you be putting his life in danger, um, in the name of love. In the name of love. Hey,
Books,
book
girls, and purrs.
girls.
Nice
Guess
to have
what?
you with
Who
us.
else was late? Me, your twin. I was late with girls and purrs. Full of tech issues, but we made it. All right. So the on ice trauma and the painkillers. So in this episode, we see that Shane gets body checked on the ice,
Mm,
and
mm.
not in a good way. Quite literally because of his distraction with Ilya, you know. And so um is this ultimate most chaotic example of Shane's self sabotage. Oh, look at me, we're all mixed up. Self sabotage and horniness the entire series. So because all right, hockey is highly dangerous, right? There's always fighting. You're literally on the ice. Okay, you're literally on the ice. So he's being flirty and all of this. So is this a example of that chaos? You're putting yourself at risk on the ice behind being distracted and flirting with Ilya in the middle of your profession, essentially.
So okay, so it was a idiotic thing to do. However, Ilya loved it. All up until Ilya saw what was about to happen, and oh my god, it happened. And let me tell you what happened in the book, baby. Um, in the book, Ilya refused to leave Shane's side. He refused, like they kind of showed it like he was kind of sort of close, but in the book, he was like all on top of Shane, and he wouldn't let anybody near Shane and all of that. So it was like, come on, y'all got to see, y'all got to know what's really going on, especially because they're all up in each other's faces, damn near kissing each other and all that other good stuff. And then, um, finally the refs have to say, look, if you don't leave, we you're gonna be out of the game and all that other good stuff. And finally, and it was his teammates that pushed him off, that said nah, move and all that other good stuff. They didn't show all of that, but it was cinematic, it was dramatic, it was real. It was like, what would you do? What would you do if the world cannot know, but your lover is like face down in the ice and just unconscious? You know what I'm saying? Like what would you do? What would you do?
This was an authentic reaction. Like, there was nothing. Just, I don't think he could have stopped himself if he wanted to. And I really wish they would have played it out like they did in the book. I would have appreciated seeing that on film, but here we are. So,
I do want to say this. So, there was a moment in the book as well as the TV show where basically, he was like, my parents, and then and then he was like, basically, I forget his exact words, but let him know I'm okay. He said Ilya, and like everyone was just like, oh, he's lost his mind. He don't know what he's talking about. But that was just the world not assuming that these two are together, and yet he's confessing in that moment. He's confessing this is the truth, and I thought that was powerful.
And so on the show, he didn't say Ilya's name. He did say, tell him I'm okay, and then they like
he said Ilya. He said Ilya on the show. He said Ilya.
I missed the Ilya part.
Yeah, he said Ilya.
He's loopy and full of the drugs and confessing and professing.
Well, he's just not unconscious, but when you're a concussion, he had a concussion.
He's concussed and high. Especially when he invites him to their cottage. But so his unfiltered rant during this this concussed mode and being full of drugs, how did that shift the power dynamic between him and Ilya?
So let's be clear. Shane is attempting to make a connection with Ilya. And even after Shane is in the hospital, Ilya is unwilling to take it there. He doesn't want to. And the book is very, very clear. Even though he knew what Shane was asking. He knew what Shane was asking, but he was unwilling to take it there. Right? And so in that sense, Shane is now grasping at the power in the relationship, not a conscious way of grasping at it, but he's like, dude, this is how I feel. This is what I want. The world be damned. We don't have to let the world know. No one will know about us. And if I had popcorn, I would have been eating it, and I would have been woo.
Look, more and more, I'm becoming a fan of Shane.
So Books, Girls, and Purrs says, I couldn't imagine bearing a parent only to then see the person I'm secretly in love with get into a catastrophic accident. Oh.
Yeah, more trauma on top of trauma. And then, you couldn't just put your father to rest. You also have your brother that is a colossal douchebag and money pit. And so there's all that. Which, by the way, I still thought it was very classy and very sweet of him to still want to do something for his niece, albeit his brother is a literal jerk.
Mm-hmm.
Glad he did the last chapter. Love that. All right, so the skip, parallel, and the ending twist.
Well, hold on. Before you go there, that scene where the two you briefly talked about it. That scene where they were on the phone, and Ilya was basically in the streets of Russia, in the streets of Moscow, and he's under a tunnel, and he's talking to Shane. And Shane is like, well, if you can't tell me, say it in Russian. And he unpoured, like all of his heart. It's just coming out, and he's telling us, the viewers, what's going on. And some dots are finally connected for us if we're watching it for the very first time. And then he admits his love to Shane. Oh, oh, oh. And Shane is on the other end, and he's just falling in love with this just deeper in love, because this man is talking Russian to him. And he wants to learn the language so bad. We don't know it. But he wants to learn the language so bad. Right? But he loves the fact that his man, I'm calling him his man right now. This man is talking to him in Russian.
Listen, the fact that he even thought to come up with that, he's in pain and can't be there to comfort him in person. Obviously, they'd have us both executed. But this is what I can offer. So I love the vulnerability on both sides this time. Like, hey, I'm here for this. And at least I love the fact that Ilya let that barrier come down some to allow himself to express that way, because let's be honest, Ilya at the very least has his friend who he's intimate with from time to time, but she knows him in and out, through and through. Shane has just gotten Rose, right? And so for him to be able to trust another person, another person being Shane, I love that for Ilya. But yes, I do agree, it was the sweetest and sexiest thing at the same time, having him pour himself out in Russian like that. I love that. Love it, love it, love it.
Helda Farista says hello. Books, Gers, and Purrs says, did you notice that once Shane closes his eyes, the soundtrack is like a soundscape is like they are in the same room, and once Shane opens his eyes again, you can hear that they are only hearing each other through the phone.
Ooh, listen. Yes, 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 yes. Again, like the vulnerability, the intimacy, the whole world disappearing, so to speak. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you, Books, Girls, and Purrs. I think,
It was some months ago. Someone said, I forget Shane's jersey number. I don't know if it was Shane or Ilya's jersey number, but the heart monitor, um, uh, it was going up and down, up and down, up and down, all that other good stuff. But once Ilya held his hand, it remained firm on one of their hockey numbers. I think it's Ilya's hockey number, and I was just like, oh.
the whole body is responding from the inside out. That's true love. That
Yeah,
is
yeah.
true, true love. I love that. um, so we witnessed Scott Hunter. I think he's so hot. I just love him. Oh my goodness. We witnessed Scott Hunter and Kip Grady on national television at the Stanley Cup have this kiss, this huge coming out moment. How did seeing another couple completely break the closet open act as an ultimate aphrodisiac, a trigger, um, or what have you, to make Ilya decide, hey, I'm coming to the cottage?
Um, I think I think having an example, someone else who's in their life, do it, do it first, and say, I don't give a damn. Let the world say what they have to say. I think that gave them permission to be who and what they were, on their own terms. They didn't necessarily have to come out in the same way that he did,
Very
but he gave
gracious.
them permission to explore what they were both feeling.
I definitely agree. Um it's especially as hard as Ilya comes off. Like, I just appreciated the fact that he didn't delay. Like, they immediately started communicating. Obviously, this is happening in front of the entire world. Um, and so they're texting each other, and before Shane can say like, "What the is going on?" I'm coming to your cottage, and boom, scene. I'm like, oh, well, okay. We love to see it.
Well, okay, so okay, that was great. But what I was stuck on, and I had to watch it a couple of times. The very first time that I saw it, I rewound several times. You could hear the announcer saying, "Oh, that's a lucky fan." Coming down to meet Scott Hunter, all that other good stuff, and then he pulled Scott. Excuse me. He pulled Scott pulled Kip onto the ice, and then they kissed and they embraced, and they were like, you could hear everybody like cheering and all the other good stuff, and like I was like, that was when the tears started to roll for me.
This
It was acceptance. It was mass acceptance, and that was beautiful to watch.
I think this was a tearjerker for everybody because it was like, yes, somebody finally got to actually win. Like, yes, we got the Stanley Cup, but which is major to Scott Hunter, right? But more than that, you got a true love, and then screw it, you don't have to hide anymore. And so, um, I know we love Kip, and I'm excited for Kip as well. But I think in this episode, I was just more excited for Scott. I was. You got to come out of the shadows. I am serious. Like, now you're a professional athlete. You know, you have money, you have the notoriety, all the things. But heavy is the head that wears the crown, right? And so, although you have all of these things, you don't truly have peace, and you
Mhm.
lost your parents at a young age. And so there was just so many things that were layered with him to where I felt like, okay, this is the person I'm most excited for in this episode. It's Scott Hunter. Really and truly.
Now, this is what I've read the book. What happened was, okay, so Scott went through this whole thing where Kip was like, I can't do this anymore. And so Scott, what he started doing was he started showing Kip that he actually loved him and he was willing to take some steps. The boy went to his parents' home. He ate dinner like unannounced. He just showed up, right? Unannounced. So he came out to his parents and they went upstairs and they made out and then they walked in the neighborhood and they held hands, you know, did all of the things to let Kip know that he was there for him, right? And then he was just like, "Hey, come to the game, invite your friend," all of that, and then according to the book, now you see it in the television show, but the books are much more explicit. He started to feel so sad, like he had just won the Stanley Cup, but he started to feel so sad when all of these people and all of their family members came down to the ice, and he was just like, "Where's my family?" You know what I'm saying? This was what was so beautiful about what Rachel Reed wrote. He was like, "Where's my family?" And then he looked up at Kip, and he was like, "That's my family."
Yes, because to be alone in a room full of people, who wants to feel that?
Mhm, 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 mhm. It was like so what Kip wanted to announce their love. You know what I'm saying? Actually, what Scott had done was enough for Kip, but Scott went that extra mile. He was just like, "I'm not hiding you. I want everybody who knows me to know that you're with me," and that was beautiful. That was beautiful.
Yeah, it's you're gonna kick me. But Scott Hunter has to be a Virgo because these extremes, either really left or really light, right? You either completely in the closet or you coming out in Grand Central Station. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? But I appreciate an extremist. We don't have room for gray areas. No, if I'm gonna do it, let me do it this way. I need the
Uh-huh.
world watching.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, okay, it's quite a
Yeah.
transition, but okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And if you read the books afterwards, like, okay, so Rachel Reed's favorite has got to be Scott and Kip because they are consistent. Now, I think she realized after her second book was about Ilya and Shane. Everyone fell in love with Ilya. Ilya, Shane, and Kip are in all of these books. Shane, they talk about Shane, but Ilya is in all of these books along with Shane and Kip.
You have read the entire
I,
series?
I have, and I'm waiting on the next one. It's coming out this summer.
I got it's coming out. We love that. Um, my goodness. I have got to read. My goodness. Like when? When am I gonna find the time? All right. Few more questions, but these will be about dynamics before we close out. So we have the character dynamics of the Golden Boy versus the Maverick, right? So, how does Scott's public image mirror Shane's Golden Boy persona? And how does Kip share Ilya's chaotic, unfiltered approach to life and media?
It's almost parallel. Both of their it's like parallel to each other. They're just given different shades of it. You know what I'm saying? Um, Almost even in terms of the way in which they look. Almost. Um, I don't even know how to say this. Um, what was okay? So how do I say it? So here's where they differ. Kip is verse. Shane is a full bottom. Ilya, full top. Scott is verse. Both Scott and Shane care about their public image. I think that Ilya didn't give a damn except for Russia. Except for Russia. And once he decided, for those who have only watched the television show, I'm going to say something that you probably, I don't know, but Ilya decides that he's going to leave Russia and become an American, well, a Canadian citizen.
All for the name of love and some freedom. And well, his mom's already gone. His
Dad is gone.
Right, dad is gone, and so cut his brother off indefinitely and set his niece up for life. So you can come find me when you grow up. So at this point, what am I holding on to? I feel that. I feel that. All right. Emotional anchors. So, in what ways does Kip act as Scott's emotional anchor, and how does this compare to how Shane stabilizes Ilya during his darkest moments?
In what ways does Kip act as Scott's emotional anchor?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, and so I can't really answer that question. But what I can say is that Scott loved Kip so much that he was willing to take that leap. And he needed Kip, I guess, in this way. As long as Kip was around, he was willing to weather whatever storm came his way.
There's
Now,
your
now, what was the second part of your question?
pretty much the same question for Shane and Ilya. How Shane show, especially in Ilya's darkest hours, his emotional anchor.
So I've said it before. Ilya continuously tells Shane that he's so boring, but Ilya actually likes the fact that Shane is boring. He loves the fact that Shane is boring because his upbringing was so chaotic. So so anytime that Shane would talk about his family and all of that, like Ilya loved it. Like he wanted more of it. Talk about it more, talk about it more, talk about it more. He wanted to know everything. And so in that, like he wanted the the stability of their family. And when you read the next book that's really about Shane and Ilya, Ilya develops a close relationship with both of Shane's parents and his friends.
One more question.
Okay.
When we talk about relationship dynamics, of course, this is realistic fiction. But if you had to choose between the Scott and Kip dynamic or the Ilya and Shane dynamic, which side are you going
Oh, that's so complex. On one side, you have one person who is a star, a national star, and and the other person is a relative unknown. And you have to deal with all of that, right? And it's a world that you're unfamiliar with. Like you don't even really like you don't like hockey like that. You know hockey, you've lived around hockey, your dad knows hockey, you appreciate hockey, but it ain't you, right? You're into art and all of that, right? And then on the other hand, you have two alpha males, who are at the top of their game, and they both understand the world. They both understand why the person is choosing what they're choosing. You don't really have to have these long conversations about it. Whereas with Kip and Scott, they had to have those long conversations. That while Kip understood on one level, he didn't understand, right? Whereas Ilya and Shane, they don't have to have those conversations because they both understand it. So for me, there's one part of me that would like I would love to be Shane and Ilya, and then there's another part of me that I would have loved to have been Kip.
inside out? These are both just two really hot couples, and both chaotic in their own ways. Um, I feel like 20 something old me would have immediately said Ilya and Shane, give me that. I love the competitive nature on the ice, you know, the back and forth. Yes, it's chaotic and dramatic, but I still like it and still want it. But yeah. Now I kind of like how slightly reserved Hunter and not Hunter, I'm sorry, not,
Books of Girls and Birds says Ilya and Shane are fun to read, but I'm a Kip. I'd love to be in a relationship where the person goes away for their job for a while. Best of both worlds, and that's what I'm talking about. That's what I loved about it. Give me my
literally,
space. Give me my
literally.
space, and when you come home, you throwing it down. We throwing it down, goddamn.
Look, I love you, but please stop talking to me. Please, I want space. So, which is a better explanation how that would work better for me now and on this side of life. Like, yeah, I need something a little different than all that chaos all the time. Like, no, I'm good. All right. From Never Call Me Back to 10 inches. What you going with for this episode?
Oh, this particular episode was a 10 all the way. Let me tell you, it gave me all the feels and on the on that particular spectrum of I'm not gonna say angst, but it was kind of like, oh, what the hell is going on? To I'm in love. To I'm crying, and but I'm crying for two different reasons. I'm crying on one hand because I now know how Ilya feels about Shane, and then I'm seeing Kip and Scott, like they're falling in love in public, and they're getting what they want in a very public way, and they find acceptance in that. And so I like that was appealing to me. And so that's why I get. And let's not forget, even though the episode started this way, but Scott it's not Scott, but Shane is starting to come out of his shell. He's admitted to someone who and what he is, and it's the very first time that that ever happens. And let me tell you, typically you choose someone that if it's the first person that you tell, that person is going to be isolated from your inner circle, and that's exactly what he did. He chose someone who was isolated from his inner circle, and so it was reminiscent of my life, and so I loved it because it made sense. I could relate to it. Yeah, it's a 10. It's a 10.
I'm going with the 10 as well. If you can get emotion out of me, and I do mean emotion, authentic emotion, then it's probably an automatic 10. I don't even have to see the rest of the episode or the season. But this episode was a 10 for me for many reasons. One, as you mentioned, with Shane coming out of his shell, I talked about that earlier. I was really happy that he found a friend, even though she started off as a beard. No problem there. Someone he can trust and just be vulnerable with in that way, in a platonic way. So loved that. Um, Also, we have a health scare. There's that, so that evokes all this emotion from Ilya. There's that piece. We have Ilya losing his father. That's another very traumatic thing. I know that I sound dark saying that this is the reason why I gave it a 10. But, these shows, the way that they're written, we want to connect with the characters and actually kind of feel. And so this was the all the feels episode. So many things going on. And so, of course, when, like I mentioned earlier, Scott Hunter gets his family, so to speak, and can come out of the shadows and have the love of his life or whatever. Yes, so many, 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 many things that made it a 10 for me.
This is a very dark. It was very dark, but it all made sense. It all came together.
Definitely
It
dark.
worked.
It was definitely dark. And again, just seeing Shane make a joke that actually lands is it should have been a 10 right there. Just like not to just be awkward. Like, okay. That was good for me. Any other I know we did our rating, but any other remarks or things that you would like to add as it pertains to this episode? Because we know that this one is a crowd pleaser. Everybody loves this episode. I would safely say this is everyone's favorite episode of this season.
Anything else from this particular episode? I don't know. I kind of feel like we've talked about everything. Oh, the scene where Ilya was in the swimming pool, and I'm not talking about his body. I'm talking about he was playing with the kids, and it showed how loving a person Shane really is. When he was playing with those kids, he was just being himself. He was being fun loving and he was being funny. And there was this one part where he was just like, "Where's your father?" and he saw the father. He was like, "Oh, don't worry about it."
Yeah, again, that speaks to Ilya's character. And so again, he comes off, like I said, it's been a complete and utter douchebag, but he has kindness, lots of it there. Like I said, the fact that you set up a trust for your niece and you never want to speak to your brother again, you're all right with me. I understand that. So,
Mm.
all right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Join us again on next week as we cover episode 6 of Heated Rivalry.
Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Y'all have a good one. Oh, there's one comment. Let's see. Yeah, never mind. We've got questions and we know you have answers, so make love to our senses in the comments. Drop them down below.